Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Statistics, Math 1342. I will be your guide for the next 5 weeks, Professor Arthur Migala. I actually, what do y'all need statistics for? Why are you in this course? Remember, it's on my degree plan. That's a legitimate answer. Court order, that's another answer. Okay. Anybody else? Why would this be a prereq for nursing, do you think?
It's because involves calculations.
Yeah, it is a math course. Yes, that's good. But what kind of calculations? What does statistics do? Actually, there are two parts of this course. What does statistic mean to you? Yeah, okay, that's part of it. There's statistics and there's probability. We'll cover both of those actually. The difference is what has happened and what may happen. Statistics is an analysis of what has occurred. Probability is what could happen. The most dangerous subject in mathematics is statistics. Because I can, if you and I have the same information, the data, I could make it say the exact opposite of what you're saying, and we'll both have the same proof. You've lived your life, actually. Every time you turn the TV on, you hear all these statistics. The number of road rage incidents in Dallas has raised 30%. Uh, teen deaths from fentanyl is increased by 43%. Or what if they said the teen death from tripping on school steps has increased by 100% since last year? What does that mean to you? What does 100% mean to you? Okay, a double increase. What was that? The whole, yeah. So is that a scary statistic when I say 100% increase? Here's the data. Last year, we had one person fall and die. Now we have two people. Does that sound even less scary or more scary? Two people? Think of how many students we have in this school, 36,000. How many of them walk up and down the stairs? How many of them die? One person, that's probably a texting, and they took the wrong step in the first step. So you can see that either as a tragic accident or natural selection. With Darwin's law saying that, okay, it's going to happen. Actually, this morning, driving to work, I was almost broadside because somebody was on their phone texting and just didn't see the stop sign. But I knew I could see what was happening in their car. So I slowed down and waited till they got very close and passed the intersection, and I just laid on my horn. And like geniuses they were, where do you think they stopped? Right in the middle of the intersection. So if there was more traffic coming, they'd get broadsided. If I would have gone any further, I would have been broadsided. So yeah, the statistics that we're going to be looking at mostly here are cell phone usage by students and individuals by different age groups. I'm going to have y'all do, how many of y'all ever go out to a restaurant and eat? Okay, question. How many of y'all, the first thing you do is you take your cell phone out, put it on the table? Common courtesy says that when you do that, if you put your cell phone on the table, That means you have just put the person you're on the table with on third seat. They're no longer your priority. Practically, you don't even have to be there anymore. Because what that person is doing now is they said that I'm waiting for anything to come on my cell phone, which is going to be more important than you. Does that ever cross anybody's mind? No. The younger generation never crosses their mind. The older generation, we see that and we say that's. I mean, I've been in restaurants before, and I sit an entire table, a family, not one person's talking. The kids to the adults, everybody's got their cell phones out and they're texting. The food comes out. Guess what? One hand is poking with their fork, the other hand is looking, scrolling with their thumb. Is that normal? Yes, but how many of y'all do that? Guilty. All of us are. In classes, how many of y'all go to a class and you take your cell phone out and text and read text and messages from somebody that's not in class? They're texting you because they're bored stiff. They have no other thing better in their lives, which is sad. I can think of a million things to do. But yeah, they're texting you because they're bored. And what are you doing? We're going to discuss something called the Pavlovian response. Anybody ever hear about that, especially you nurses? What is the Pavlovian response? Who is Gregor Pavel? He was a scientist that studies psychology. He's the one who had this experiment where a dog would, anytime you hear a bell ring, they'd get a treat. So they'd go and get food. The bell rang, they'd go, and then all of a sudden, what happened? Every time the dog hears a bell, he starts salivating. We are no different than that. The cell phone goes off. What's the first thing we do? Pick it up. Are you expecting something important to come through? No. If one of the things we're going to, when we start doing our data analysis, I'm going to have you guys look at your cell phone records. You can from your bills, you can see how many text messages have you sent and how many have you received. And of those, how many of them were actually important? How many of them are so important that if you would not have answered it, you would have lost your job or something like that? And then look at how many hours a day are you on that contraption? There's a comic strip I wish I could find. It's back when I was a kid, parents had to chase their kids home. We would leave in the morning with our friends, go riding our bikes, go hiking, go camping, and come back when the sun goes down, when it's time for dinner. Nowadays, parents have to chase their kids out of the house into the sunlight because they're always on their phone or on their computer or on their video game. We're going to look at those and we're going to do analysis on our own. I'm thinking about making that our semester project instead of having a final exam, just so you can apply what we're learning. You have to have a hypothesis. You can collect data. You can do all sort of stuff, and then we'll post that in the hallway for students to read. So that's the difference. Statistics analyzes the past. Probability guesstimates the future. Probability was founded in a town called Monte Carlo in southern France for gambling. If you think about it, besides gambling, what else do you use probability? Well, you do use it. If you ever listen to the news, anytime you see those polls for the next presidential election, all those numbers are probabilities. If the election was held today, this is the percent chance that this person would win. Even though it said that 43% of the people that we surveyed choose candidate X versus candidate Y. What it really means is if we had the election today, this is the chance that this person would win today. That's what that stuff means. How many of y'all have heard a commercial that 4 out of 5 dentists recommend this toothpaste. Okay, now what's wrong with that statement? Even further, you're right. That's true. Yeah. What about, well, the question is, who were those 4 dentists? What 5 dentists did you choose? Where did you choose them? They don't tell you anything about the data. Were they the dentists? If you ever go to, I may have all been to a dentist, got your teeth cleaned or a checkup within the last year. What do you get when you leave that dentist office? A goodie bag with a toothbrush, small thing of toothpaste. There's little, I love those little tablets. So you chew them up. You show you where you don't brush your teeth right. The floss, and then a whole bunch of advertisements. Why do you think the dentist gives you that specific toothpaste in that bag? No, they didn't even touch it. The dentist didn't really know what's in those bags. They get these back boxes from these toothpaste companies that are in there already. Said, listen, we'll give you this stuff. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Just when you clean your patient's teeth, give them this bag. The toothbrush, you can't even tell me who makes that toothbrush. The floss, you can't even tell me what kind of floss it was. But you look at that little box of toothpaste. It's usually Crest or something like that. But go ahead and scoot a chair from back there. So this kind of stuff, that's why statistics is dangerous. We hear it all the time. We see it. We live around it. But we know nothing about it. In academia, in research, you cannot write a sentence that has a statistics, a probability or a number, unless you tell me where that came from. Where did that data come from? How did you collect it? How big was your sample size? Can you move the desk forward? There you go. Thank you. So we're going to be talking about all that stuff in this class, so that whenever you hear or see something on text or online or on TV or here on the radio, you will start thinking to yourself, if they don't tell me more about this data, I don't want to hear it. You never hear about where the data came from. The news said that we surveyed 800 people, and 80% of them are voting for this candidate. Where did you get these 80 people from, or 800 people? Did you wait till they had a meeting supporting this and then you asked them? Or did you go to a mall? So all this stuff is, to be honest with you, statistics as a math class is the only math class that factors in errors. The beautiful thing about math is 3 plus 5 is what? 3 plus 5 is what? I think it's 6. I was wrong. No. Yes, it's 8. Can it be anything else other than 8? No. But in statistics, whenever we do our calculations, we are only as accurate as our data. That's why whenever you see real analysis, you'll see a plus or minus a margin of error. So if it's predicting that 8 people will show up, give or take 4, what does that mean? Well, if they're predicting 8, give or take 4, that means that they're expecting anywhere between 4 and 12 students to show up, or people to show up. That's a huge range. So is it an exact science? No. It's the farthest thing from exact you can get. It's the same as weather forecasts. The meteorologist, how many times have they ever been correct? If you ever watch it, how many of you watch the news in the morning or in the afternoon or evening? Do that for a couple of days. In the morning, when you get up, turn the TV, put it on a news channel. Watch the meteorologist, see what their 5-day forecast is. Take a picture of it. Then watch the same channel at 7 or 8 o'clock, 2 hours later, and see how much their forecast has changed. Watch it at noon. Watch it at 5 o'clock and at 10 o'clock. See how much their forecasts have changed. The 5-day forecasts are a joke. In Texas, we cannot predict what's going to happen this afternoon. You know the reason they do it? Is to give people a false sense of security. So it says here that I'm planning for Thursday to go to the lake. It says it's going to be sunny. Wednesday night comes around. Thursday morning comes around. Now it's a thunderstorm, tornado warning. 16 years ago, there was a winter storm that came through. They said, oh, it's going to be flurries, may last an hour, 2 hours. 4 days later, it stopped. Unexpected. But every day they said, well, it'll be over. It's not going to last that long. So be very careful. That's what I'm going to hope to show upon you with this course is what is really going on here. Let's talk about the structure of the course. First off, well, here's the course. That's me, a small version of me. Contacting me. I know in your other classes, instructors usually like emails. I don't like it because the number of times that the system's down or it takes forever to log anywhere, and you have to go through all these steps, verify this, back up this, so that I don't use emails. I use Remind. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Remind. Who's not familiar with Remind? Remind is an app. It's a free app. It's not even an app. You don't have to download anything. It's what it does is it communicates or allows you to communicate with me and me to you and the class via our cell phones. It's a communication app that if you have a question, if you're studying, when will you be studying and do your homework? During this class? I know some of you on your computers right now, typing and texting. We'll discuss that also. But when you do your work, it's usually not in evening times. Just students don't do the work until the weekends. Think about it. If you're doing your homework over the weekend and you get stuck on a Saturday morning, what good is that if you send me an email and I can't respond it until Monday? Can you go any further in your homework? No. So that whole weekend's wasted, which is why I said, okay, that's ridiculous. So that's the reason I use the app. It goes to our cell phones. How far is that cell phone from you at any time during the day? I mean, I'm looking at almost everybody here has their cell phones on their desk. Almost everybody. Again, going back to what we said earlier, it's a disease. It's an addiction. That cell phone is never more than an arm's length away. Even when we go to the bathroom or a shower or anything, it's never more than a hand's away. And if you ever hear that ding that you got a text message, where's my treat? And what even gets me is why people text in cars. It's a cell phone. The optimum word is phone. If you're driving, you shouldn't be texting. Why don't you call the person that's so important that you got to talk to and talk to them? I mean, I was going to come home yesterday from Hurricane Harbor on the highway. Speed limit is 70. You can tell when people are on cell phones. What are the common characteristics of somebody on a cell phone while they're driving? Swerving, going 20 miles an hour on a highway, and not looking where they're going. Yes. I have no problem of calling the police when I see somebody on their cell phone when I'm driving, because it's against the law to begin with. It's a danger to you and everybody around you if you're texting and driving. So I have no problem calling the police and say, listen, this person here is a hazard, and they have to, because once you call them and tell them that somebody's impairing their driving, it's no better than being drunk or high on drugs. It's actually worse, because if you're drunk, you at least see something. It can be blurry, but you're still seeing it. When you're on your cell phone, you don't see anything's going on. So, really, I'm sorry, I'm getting off my horse there, but I don't like cell phones, but I will use it. I know some of y'all may have jobs. Send me if you get stuck somewhere, take a picture of what you're dealing with, what your question is, send it to me via Remind on your cell phone, and it'll come to me. If I'm not asleep or otherwise like in a movie or swimming or anything like that, I will respond to you 24/7. If you have a job that you don't get off work till like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock, and you get stuck on a problem and you want to meet on Zoom, then tell me, give me some warning, and we could arrange that. When we had COVID, I had students from all over the world, South America, Africa, Europe, that I would meet with regularly. Okay, it doesn't sound too impressive, but think about it. Africa and Europe are 7 and 8 hours ahead of us. So right now in Europe, it is 6 o'clock at night. So think about it. So if they have questions in the morning, will be 8 hours, 7 hours earlier for you. So I don't mind doing that. I don't mind doing it if the students pay attention and do what they're supposed to. But students that are texting and otherwise, this is what I do with all my classes. I live stream. You saw what I did earlier. I turned this thing on and I hit record. I live stream all my classes. So I would rather have people who are in this classroom present, who are here to learn, not show up and thinking that, okay, by me showing up, I'm gonna get extra points and no. I don't give any preference to anybody. Your grades are going to be calculated by your homework assignments and your tests. That's it. I mean, you can give me a Cadillac or a Lexus each day of the semester. At the end of the semester, if you make a 50, I'm going to give you a 50 and keep all the cars. So again, you do no favor to me. If you're going to come in this room, do not distract anybody else. Because if you're on your phone, if that just that distract. How many of you have ever been in a movie theater and somebody takes their cell phone and starts texting in the middle of a movie? If I had a rock, I would. There'd be so many people with broken phones and rocks in their heads, because that's just rude. If you're gonna take a message, get out of here. Go outside and do it. If you're gonna be on your cell phone, if that's more important to you, then stay home. You can either watch it live from your house and participate, because the microphone here, you'll hear what I'm saying, and if you have questions, your microphone on your computer will bring it up here to the speakers here, and you can ask questions. If there's some other situations that you can't do that, I send out the copy of these at the end of each week. I send out a recording of all the videos, lecture videos, and these notes. While I'm lecturing, you're not going to be working on the phone or I could be lecturing. Or if you have a question and we have to meet on Zoom, this is how we'll do it. It's going to be no different than you being in this room than if you were at your house and I was here and we're talking over the computer. The only difference is you can see me now. It's the same thing. Is if you close your eye, this is what you're going to see. You're going to hear me talking, and you're going to see this and whatever we're working on. But before we do a Zoom meeting, I'm going to expect you to exhaust all possible avenues of assistance. In other words, what does that mean? Well, I will send the lecture videos. And I'm going to try my hardest to have all the assignments, the solutions to the assignments that I'm going to have for you guys online, the homework assignments. I will have them worked out as well, so that you can watch that video and how I solved it. So that's my goal. The reason for that is it won't be the same question you'll have. It'll be similar. The numbers have changed, but the concept is still the same. So if you can't do that, if that doesn't help, if the video from the publisher, I'll let you have access to those too. If those don't help, then contact me saying, I don't understand this. Can you answer it? If it's a simple solution, then we'll do it over a Remind. If it's a little bit more complex and math intensive, then I'll say, well, when can you meet? We'll meet on Zoom. I don't care if it's morning, if it's evening, afternoon, or weekend. If you're understanding this stuff, you're passing this course is my primary focus. We're only going to be together for 5 weeks. I can give up that much time in my life to help you guys learn this stuff. But again, it's conditional. If you're one of these students that do nothing during class and then expects help on a Saturday or a Sunday, I said, well, listen, let me look at my Facebook first, and then I'll get back with you. So you see, it's a quid pro quo. If you want to learn this stuff, you'll learn it. I will help you learn it. But if you come in here and just do nothing, I mean, you'll have better luck going to the tutoring center. Because again, I want to spend my time, I want to devote all my time to people who want to learn. I mean, I'll help you, but it's not going to make me happy one bit. About the class, the census day, the certification day is the 11th. What does that mean? Is in order to be certified, as if you signed up for this course and you're attending it 100%, you have to show that you've done something. We'll have a syllabus and a Remind test, because on the syllabus, we'll talk about that in a second. So there'll be a syllabus and a Remind test. I'll talk about that in a second. This phone number has changed. My office number. My office is now upstairs, room 215. This number is to my office at El Centro. For some reason, they give me 2 offices. The Google phone is only to be used in cases of emergency. Not understanding how to do a homework problem is not an emergency. We could do that over Remind or Zoom. So this is like if something happens and you can't show up to class, or I had a student last semester whose mother went to the hospital for 3 weeks and they were with him the entire time. It was verified and proof, and they sent me doctor's information and everything. So this is only for emergencies. My office hours are 24/7. I don't like wasting my time sitting in my office doing nothing, waiting for students to show up. That's why I do the Remind. You can get a hold of me anytime, 24/7. If I'm asleep, I will respond to you first thing in the morning. The course title is we're only here. It's in class. Actually, I should say hybrid, even though it doesn't say that. Because I live stream my classes, you can participate in class, at home, or via the recordings. And it's not going to affect your grade whatsoever, depending on which other method you do. Because all I do at the end of the semester at 11:59 p.m. on August 8th, the system shuts itself down. Then I download all your test grades, all your homework grades, and average them. And the Remind test and the syllabus test I enter those in manually at the end of the semester. So don't worry about that. Is if you successfully finish that, and again, you'll have proof because it'll be via a remind message as well that will communicate about your test grades on those. So no sweat about that. Hopefully by now you know basic algebra because that's what this course is going to be heavy about. Knowing how to do basic calculations, knowing how to manipulate formulas, move things around. That's what's important in this class. Yes, you can use your calculators, but especially for those of you in nursing program, the faster you can think of the dosage amount, the faster you can work it out without getting your cell phone out or calculator out, the better it is for your patient. Of course, correct dosage amount is more important than speed, but knowing how to do it without having to take your cell phone out. Because what if your cell phone's battery is dead? You just lost your patient. So knowing how to do this by hand is also as important. That's the reason why nursing students have to take this class, is because you have the rule of 72, you have the rule of 95. There are a whole bunch of rules that you'll see in nursing, the math program there, about medicine dosages based on the person's, whether it's an infant, a middle-aged, or an obese person, a normal size or an obese person. Think about it. All of it, the weight is very important on the amount of medication somebody gets. You can't give the same amount of medicine as an adult to a child, and vice versa. It's not going to do any good. Burn victims. There's a percent of burn that a patient, if they exceed that amount, that there's nothing you do about it. If they get X% of their body covered with 30-degree burns, it's nothing you do about it. It's just going to be a slow, painful death for them. All you can do is make it better for them. Yeah, you guys are going to you guys are investing very necessary. Those of you going to nursing, and next to teachers, primary and secondary teachers, you guys are fabulous. We need y'all. Our textbook will be online. You don't have to have anything solid, but you don't even need to look at your textbook. I will give you everything. When starting tomorrow, I will start giving you in the very back of the room on one of those tables, or I'm here. I will have printouts. They will be the examples from that section and definitions. So you don't have to write anything. The reason I do this with the recording and sending out the video and the notes, I will scan my notes and send them to you also. So you don't have to write everything I write down. Only write down specific information that's pertinent to you. But don't write down everything I say, because you will lose so much if you do that. I won't stop, and we'll keep on going forward. I will expect you guys to do the examples that when we do those. I will have you try to work on it first, and then I'll walk through it step by step. Whenever I do an example in class, I will always start off by putting the procedures on one side and go step by step by step by step by step. And then explain each step. And then we'll do the next one and referring to those steps so that everything you'll need is right there. Again, you don't have to write them down because I'll send you this stuff. You'll have access to it. You do need to have a valid email that's with the school, because sometimes if something happens on MyLab Stats, I can send you a message. How many of y'all get the message this morning on MyLab, my online? Anybody get the message I sent out last night? Oh no, there's only 2 of you registered. I gotta figure out that. Who is registered on MyMathLab? On MyLab Stats. Only 2 people have. You're supposed to do something when you log on. We'll look at that in a second, for those of you who have your computers out. Our grade. This is what you guys are interested in, not what I had to say. We'll have 8 chapter exams, maybe 10. I have to see, because I'm going to clean it up to make it as smooth as possible in this course. But however many chapter exams we'll have, each one of them count 100 points. We're going to have your homework. The average of all your homeworks will count 100 points, at maximum 100 points. Final exam or final project. Or if you guys, if I see the class is progressing as a whole, then we may have no final exam, no final project. I'll just take the average of all your test grades, and that'll be your final exam grade. I won't make that decision up until the 4th week to see how everybody as a class is doing. Then we have the Remind and the syllabus exams. This is very, very labor intensive. For the syllabus exam, look over the syllabus on your own. Read it, and if you have any questions. Actually, we're doing that today, so that part. You'll get 100 points. Once you look over the syllabus, you'll send me a Remind notification. You send me a notification on your Remind app saying, I have read the syllabus and I understand it. Or I have read the syllabus and I have some questions, blah, blah, blah. That's all you have to do. And you get hundreds for both of those. This is what I need for you to send me ASAP to be certified. You'll be surprised. I will have students not register for Remind until the 5th week. All the stuff I'm going to be sending you, they're going to send me messages. I haven't received any messages yet, and I can see when you register. So again, here's your sign. Let's go back to the very top here real quick. About these. The Remind app. If you click this, if you're on your cell phone, you click that, it has a link to the Remind app itself. Just follow along what it says. When you put your name in there, put your first name and your last name initial. I don't need the full name, just your first name and the last initial. But make sure it's the name you use on the syllabus. Actually, no, instead of just use your last name, because that's why I put first on the syllabus. Just give me your last name so that I will know who it is, and then I'll cross-reference it to my syllabus, to my roster. Also here, well, it's not in this, but normally what I do is I give you a link to the Zoom meetings. And here's an explanation of the syllabus and the Remind quiz, the homeworks, the exams, and chapter exam. And then down here, there's another Remind link right there. And then we'll get to the class, so the schedule itself. Oop, all of these are supposed to be the 8th. The reason I do this, you have deadlines here. They're tentative. What does tentative mean? Anybody? Can change, yes. The reason for this is because life happens. I don't think it's fair to the student if you're doing everything you're supposed to, and all of a sudden something happens. Either you go to the hospital or a family member or something else happens. We get a tornado. This is Texas. You never know. It's not fair that you be penalized some points for not having them done and turned in by this time. So I use the tentative just to show you and tell you this is where you're supposed to be. This is where we're supposed to be at this time. The only one I use is this one. All your assignments, homeworks, and tests will be due by 11:59 p.m. on August 8th, the last day of the semester. Whatever's at midnight on that day, it shuts off and you can't do anything. And all of a sudden, I put zeros in, and everything that's missing, I put zeros in it, and then average it. That's why you'll see on your MyLab Math or My Stats Lab a grade, but that's only accurate. It only grades on what you've done. In other words, if you've only done one section, section 1.2, and that's it, you made 100 on it, it's going to say your average is 100, even though the rest of the class is in chapter 5 by now. So all these other ones, you have zeros, but it doesn't calculate that until the end of the semester. So don't put too much faith in what the computer tells you your grade is. We're going to learn how to take averages in this class. So you'll be able to calculate your grade at any time throughout the semester. No work will be accepted. I say 11th. I was trying to be nice. No work will be accepted after August 8th. That's the last day. Because why? Because the system shuts down. The reason it takes me forever, I tried to get this class up and running a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, to send it out to you. Those of you who wanted to start earlier can start earlier. But it wouldn't even let me do anything. It wouldn't even let me download the book or do any assignments. It gave me access last night. So that's why I don't have anything to give you today. And if you go online, you won't see any assignments because it just opened it up for me yesterday. Because the publishers said that not to open it until the 8th of July. So any questions so far? All right, so that's what the course is about. Here are the important dates. The first day to drop is today. The last day to drop without a grade will be the 11th, Thursday. As opposed to if you wait till the 25th, that's the last day you can drop with a grade. So anything from the 12th to the 25th, if you drop after that time, you'll have some sort of grade. If you have an F, you'll say WF, WA, WC. Because think about it, we're only meeting for 5 weeks. Normally we meet for 16 weeks. So that's 1/3 the time. So every one class period is worth 3 of them. So that's pretty quick. And because of that, because of that, how many of you are familiar with this system or not familiar? All right. So yeah, make sure you're in summer 2024. Go to our class. If you want to watch from home, or if and when we ever need to have a Zoom meeting, you have the Zoom meeting link right here. Click that, and it's going to go onto the Zoom. It'll open it up for you, and I will be on my end with my computer, my camera, and we can communicate. Or you can listen and communicate at home. You can see all the chapters in this link, the chapter e-text links. And then all your assignments will be here on MyLab Stats. But there's nothing there. I'll show you. This is what you'll see. Actually, let me go back to yours. If you click on yours, MyLab Stats, actually, let me get all these for you here. So if you click the top one, the assignments, it's gonna well, had I had more time, what's gonna give you here are all the homework assignments and the tests in that order, which is how we're gonna approach the class. we're going to start at section 1, chapter 1, section 2, and then go up from there. All right. So you see, there's nothing yet because I just got it yesterday. So that's what I'll spend today doing, and we'll start looking at tomorrow. Also in here, under the syllabus and the calendar, you'll have the syllabus for the class. Which is what we've been looking at earlier. Oh, here it is. This one has it. If you don't remember how to get logged on to the Zoom, here it is, the online meeting. Just click that right there through your syllabus, and it'll take you to this meeting, to the Zoom. When you get ready to do actually, let's do this now while we're here. Get your cell phones out. And type this message. This is the message. And the @ sign's important. At K9A4B8, all lowercase. That's right, yeah. And the phone number you're sending it to is 81010. 81010. Yes. Well, is it for this class? Because yeah, is it for 1342? Because okay, yeah. So you're when did you register for that? Okay, because let me see here for this class. There you go. Perfect. Yes, we have 2 people here. Great. Yes, that's everything. Because again, I'll show you how this thing works in a second. And so hopefully everybody, if you don't use the Remind app, I check my emails maybe once a week, maybe twice a week. So if you have something important to tell me or ask me, this is the only way I'm going to communicate with you. So it's that at lowercase k 9 lowercase a 4 lowercase b 8 at 81010. Besides, it's also going to be and when you finish it, send me a message. What's that message going to say? Yeah, I've read the syllabus. I understand because we're going through the syllabus right now. So actually, we just went through the syllabus. That's why in my course, any of my courses, it's impossible. I want to say it's impossible. You have to try really hard to be absent in my classes. Because even if you're not here physically, you could be on electronically during class meetings, or I will send you the videos and the notes. So the only way you can really be absent is by not doing anything. That's practically the only way you can fail this course. The only way you can fail this course is not doing anything. Don't get complacent by not doing your work. What I strongly suggest is after we finish each day's lecture is spend your time, go out in the lobby out here and do about 10, 15 minutes work pick a partner. or one or two partners, a study group, and do the work there together. How many of y'all have had online classes where the instructor gave you like 50 or 100 problems or in each assignment? That's ridiculous. Nothing burns me up more than that when it comes to online teaching. Doesn't mean that you have more time. It's the same stuff as a face-to-face course. So that's why my homework assignments will be no more than 10 or 12 questions. If it's super easy stuff, then you may have 15. But I'm talking about questions like 8 plus 3 or true or false. This is a qualitative analysis as opposed to a quantitative. Stuff like that, just use by definitions. But if it's a difficult, time-intensive, math-intensive, then we may have 5 or 6 questions. I don't want to overload you with repeating the same type of questions over and over and over. All right, so you should be able to keep up with the homeworks each day. The reason I also suggest that is I want to reserve the first part of every class day as being question answers over the homework assignments or whatever you didn't understand. So when we first come in here, when class starts, if there are any questions over the homework, over what we did previous time, that's when to ask. If there aren't any questions, then I'll start lecturing. I'm going to try to cover 2 sections a day. Some sections are going to be super easy. We'll cover maybe 2 or 3 easily. And I'm talking about easy. So, and if it's hard, we'll cover 1. Remember, we meet 4 days a week for 5 weeks. We have 20 class periods. And we have something like 22 assignments. So what does that mean? If we have 20 days, meeting days, and we have 22 assignments, what does that tell us? Pretty much 1 assignment a day. So if we do 2 assignments in a day, multiple times, that means we can finish up the semester early. If we finish, I'm not going to try to rush this. I'm not going to try to rush this because I don't want to get you guys lost and confused. But if we can finish with time to spare, that'll give you a lot more time to finish up whatever you're missing. And then do what I haven't decided yet what the final project or the exam, or if we're going to use all the tests, the average of the tests to be your final exam. I haven't decided that yet. So you will have time to do whatever is going to be required at the end of the semester. I'm glad you asked. And the homework assignments, you have an infinite number of attempts at it. If you don't like your grade, try it again. I'm only going to keep the best grade. The same goes with the tests. The same goes with the test. I'm going to expect you to be honest with yourself. Because you do your tests at home in your environment, however you like to do it, you will be allowed to do your tests the same way. You'll have 3 attempts at each test. I'll keep the best score. If you need more attempts, send me a message and I'll increase the number of attempts. I do this so that you don't cheat. Because if you cheat and pass this course with an A and walk out of here not knowing anything, and somebody asks you, can you help me? And you go, well, I can't, I don't know. At least be honest with them. Promise me you'll be honest with them and tell them, I made an A because I cheated. Not because I did what I was supposed to do. I cheated. And make sure you're proud of yourself for cheating. Because that goes with liars and cheats and thieves. I have no respect for those kind of people. All right. So if I see everybody making hundreds across the board, I can at any moment I can change how the tests are done. I can say now you only have one chance at the testing center. So again, all it takes is one person to ruin it for me, for everybody. If I see you're making A's and everything, and your homeworks are barely even done, and I can contact you. I said, oh, show me how you do this. Because if you choose to do this online, I can contact you and say, hey, do this question for me. And if you can't do it and you made 100 on the last test, that's all it's going to take. No ifs, ands, or buts. No explanations, no questions. All our tests for everybody will be in the testing center. One chance only. So again, have more respect for yourself. Don't cheat. Making an A doesn't mean anything if you don't know anything. So that's the reason I'm giving you more than one chance at taking the tests. I say again, I don't know what else I can do to make this as less painful, as easy as I can for y'all. When I had to go through all these math courses, I only had one chance. No notes, no anything. Same as in law school, we had one exam a semester, the final exam. The grades are posted at the beginning of next semester on something called the Wailing Wall. The reason they call it the Wailing Wall was because when students saw their grades, they were either happy or they would more than cry. Because in law school, in medical school, and the professional schools, you can only fail so many courses. Then they kick you out. Your average has to be above 70 all the time, or they kick you out. They call it wailing because people see they failed and they can't continue. If they fail 2 or 3 courses, they will literally fall down on the ground crying like babies because they know their career is over. Yeah. Would you want to have a doctor or a lawyer that didn't know what they were doing just because they cheated their way through it? Or a nurse? You want a nurse taking care of you that doesn't know anything? No. And have respect for yourself. Don't cheat. Be honest with you, yourself, and your family. What else? What else? What else do you want to talk about?
What's the division? Is it like the canine division code?
There should be a division code.
Just
There's did anybody else get a division code? No. Did you type if you type in this, the at symbol K and then to the phone number 81010, it should take you just straight in there. There is no division code. This is the message. And we'll look at it later. At the end of the class, we'll look at it. No, yeah, I can put it here. I'll get it here. So what questions do you have? Good question. Oh, I'm glad you asked. How many of y'all have a class after this? How many of y'all have a class? Do you have a class? Oh God, I'm sorry. It was I have a class that starts at 11:30, calculus class. So no, I'm here at 7 o'clock because that way I get a better parking spot. I like this. I like this room because the parking lot's not that far from us. We can walk, especially if it's hot or rainy or anything. We're here, and as soon as you walk in the building, we're in this room. So we'll stay in this room as long as we can. We know we're supposed to be in room 104, but I like this room better. Um, Changing class time. I can't do it unless it's a universal acceptance. How much earlier would you rather start? Would you want to start your day at 8 o'clock? 9 o'clock, 7 o'clock. I'm here no matter what. Or keep it at 9:30 or 9 o'clock, or again. Well, because if one person objects, then we can't change it. So think about it. You can send me a message on Remind what time you would rather, what's the earliest you'd like to meet. Because if I was a student and I had summer vacation, I'd want to get started so I could. Because think about it, when we get out here at 11:30, it started getting hot out there. So if you, yeah, but I'll leave that to y'all. To me, it makes no difference whatsoever. It's just that if we leave it at 9:30, that means at 11:20, I got to stop talking and get you guys out of here for my 11:30 class. So I mean, you wouldn't be able to talk to me that day, period, unless you come earlier. Yeah, I'm in this room from 7 o'clock on out. And I'll leave it to y'all from there. So we'll leave it at 9:30 for right now. And if later on you guys decide you want to move up, then we can do that. Or again, if you want to stay at home, eat your breakfast and watch the class online, you could do that. Or wait for the video to come out. Yes.
You said that you would scan the notes.
Yes.
It's
a PDF.
Sometimes PDFs do that images, and it'll just say that, like my screen reader would just say that it's an image.
It shouldn't, because all computers should have Adobe Acrobat Reader. If you don't have it on your computer, then download it for free from Adobe. It's a PDF reader. It's called a Reader, and it'll open all PDFs that are sent. Well, we'll try. Because what I'm going to do, I'm glad you asked that. What I'm going to do is I'll create a sheet. It's going to be each day. Here's a topic we covered. Here's the lecture notes. Here's the lecture video, and the example sheet that we used that in the class that day. So that if you decide to do it at home, you'll have all this stuff at your disposition at home. So I won't only give it to people who are in class. You'll have it at wherever you are. And then as I work through the homework assignments, I will have the same thing for the PDF of the notes of the solutions, step-by-step solutions, as well as a video of the solutions. All right, so that's what I'll try to do. I'm glad you asked about that. Yes.
You said last night, it said we're meeting Mondays and meeting every day.
Well, it's supposed to be, we're supposed to meet Monday through Thursday. Yeah, so you're right. It's supposed to be Monday through Thursday every day. But yeah, because if we only meet twice a week, then I got to go through 6 or 7 sections. Yeah, I don't know why that one's uploaded. See, it didn't have, because it's a summer course. Summer courses always meet 4 days, even if it's a 10-week. My 10-week courses meet 4 days a week. More questions, more questions. Yes. Migala. Is on it? Yeah. Migala.
We'll just type our mission.
Yes.
Okay.
So I read and understood the syllabus, and 2 free hundreds. How much easier can I make it? But yeah, once you send me those, then I check you all off, and then I could certify the class. Yes.
The test and the exam, is it multiple choices?
You can either do it or not do it. No. Yeah, no. The homework assignments and the tests are going to be identical. Because the homework assignments I pick from the computer. It'll ask you the questions and you type in the answer. Or say, here's a question, draw the graph. Boy. And it's the same repository that the test questions come from. I just pick them out. And I do that. I don't pick the questions, I just pick the type of questions with a topic. And it generates, so there's, all of us could turn our computer on right now and go to the same homework assignment, and we'll all have different questions. But it's the same topic. It's just the numbers have changed to make it more difficult to cheat. And I'm not going to use a lockdown for your computers, even though we're supposed to, because some students have had issues with that in the past. Respondus lockdown pretty much stops you from getting off the test and going and surfing the web. And I bring it up to my colleagues, said, well, then also it turns on the video so you can see what the student's doing. If students are going to cheat, they'll have their cell phone over here looking for what they want to and then do everything they want. Or they have somebody behind them do the work. So you're not going to stop cheaters. Like, you're not going to stop people who are going to fraud. But eventually nature will weed them out. More questions, more questions. I will do it. Yeah, I'll start putting them up there. Have chapter 1, chapter 2. Yeah. As you can see here, yeah, I will put the chapter 1. Fortunately for us, as I went through last night when I finally got the book and I looked what's on there. In chapter 1, we only have 2 sections, and then you take a chapter test. The reason I do this, instead of having a unit test, because the unit test will see the first test will be over chapters 1, 2, and 3. Because of that, it'll be lots of questions over a lot of different things. This way, I can make your tests short, 10 questions, 15 questions at most. But again, time is of the essence. I don't want to keep you guys just bogged down doing the same stuff over and over and over. You will have done the homework assignments, which aren't going to be that many. You will take the test, which are going to be that many. Chapter 2 is practically the largest chapter we have. We have 4 sections in there. And each one of these are about graphs. So we'll have no problem doing that. We can cover all those in one day. It's that straightforward. Chapter 3 deals with measures around central tendencies, which are called the center. There's standard variance, standard deviations, and we'll look at something called a box plot. Then chapter 4, that's when we start talking about probabilities. So we have statistics in the first part, then we talk about probability, then probability distributions, and then look at the difference between population and sample. What do you think the difference between population and sample is?
Population and sample.
Very good. That's very good. Would you read that? That's exactly right. The population is 100% of everything. The sample is a subset of that population. That's exactly right. Remember, in church, we always hear that when Jesus was born, they had to go to Bethlehem. Why? What was going on there? The census. We have a census every 10 years in our government. What does a census do? Well, it wants to know about the entire population of the United States. Every household gets one. Every head of household gets one. So if you live with your brothers and sisters that are each adult, you'll each get one. If you're in a house where your mother and father are the primary caretakers of the house, they'll get one and they'll answer questions for the entire house. What it does, it allows the government to see how many people we have, what kind of background do they have, what kind of assistance might they need, and all sort of stuff. That's how they budget their money, is to figure out what do we need for next year's budget. I know probably none of you have ever seen a census before because your parents have done them, or a lot of parents don't even do that. They just take them and throw them away. But then that's when that happens, we have the government runs short when it comes to like Social Security and things like that. How much help can people get? Because we're budgeted for 10 people, but 40 people are coming asking for money. So instead of giving everybody $100, I can only give you all $10. So and it also helps when they start figuring out how many more congressional districts do we need, which I think we don't need any because we have technology. We all do our own votes. We don't need Congress. But anyway, that's another discussion there. There's a book that I used to use in my upper level statistics courses called How to Lie, Cheat, and Steal with Statistics. Because that's how easy it is to manipulate the numbers. Politicians do it all the time. Companies do it to boost their sales. Because they use the numbers that make it sound more impressive. 1 out of 2 people prefer this, as opposed to 50%. 1 out of 2, it sounds like a lot, but 50% sounds like a weaker amount. That's half, which is 1 out of 2. Or 5 out of 10, or 50 out of 100. See, the bigger the numbers get, 500 over 1,000, doesn't seem so impressive anymore. But 5 out of 10, that seems like a pretty impressive number. 5,000 out of 10,000 doesn't sound that big anymore. So yeah, we'll talk about this. We'll see. I'll try to put up some YouTube videos so we can look at how they use that kind of stuff to influence your brains. Any questions? More questions, more questions. You use anything? You'd have to do that because your computer, you can go to Desmos and use that. How many of you ever heard of a program called Desmos? Desmos is a free application online. So it's a website that you type in the equation, it'll draw the graph. You can adjust the variables in the equation, it'll move the graph around. So if you don't have a calculator or graphing calculator, don't go out and buy one. You don't need it because in graduate school, from one of my stats courses, we had to said, well, you need a calculator. I used it once. Yeah, that was a couple $100 just wasted. I don't even know where it is now. So you have everything you need on your computer. Does everybody know how to get their calculator on your computer? On the very bottom of the search bar down here, that long bar down there, just type in calculator. And it'll give you the calculator that comes up that's built into the computer. If you, on top left-hand corner, if you click that, these are all the calculators you just purchased that come free. We can do analyze data, calculate the speed, the time variables, areas, energy, converting from currencies. There's a graphing, there's scientific. Oh, here's your graphing right here. So here you type in your question. Y equals 3x plus 2. Y equals x to the power 2 to the power. Oops. So yeah, you can put as many graphs as you want to on top of there and see what they look like. Again, it's all free. It's all on your computer. You don't have to go buy anything. Just learn how to use it. I'm one of the worst people to ask about calculators. I've never used really a calculator in my entire life. In graduate school or anything, I never used it. So I'm the worst person to ask, how do you do this in a calculator? I will say, watch a YouTube video. Questions? All you need for this class really is a notebook and a pen or a pencil. You don't need a book. You don't need anything. I'll give you everything else you need. The book, again, I will pretty much summarize each section of each chapter that we deal with, and I'll give you all that information, the definitions, the examples, and we'll work them out in class. Anything else? Good question. Yes, because as we see here in the syllabus, all these, each one of our class days will be over a topic. Once I finish a topic, you're expected to go and do those before you forget them. So if on tomorrow, if we go through these two, and on Wednesday we do these two, and on Thursday we do these two, then you'll see. I mean, you're already going to be behind six sections if you wait till Thursday. And I guarantee you, if you take each day after we finish and just do each sections we cover, it'll be a smaller chunk. I had my calculus students, after we finish lecture, they go in this lobby area here and they do the homework together. Get in a study group, because that way you'll ask and answer your questions in your study group. Or meet an hour before, half an hour before class. It shouldn't take you more than half an hour to do a section assignment, because again, they're going to be that short and sweet. And then once you finish the topic, then I'm also going to create for you guys, since you bought the whole package, I will have practice exams for you as well. Practice exams will not be graded. They'll be optional. They'll be bonus points. 10% of whatever you make on that practice test will count as bonus points for your test grade. 10%. What does that mean? So if you made an 80 on the practice test, how many points will you get added to your test? 8. Because 10% simply means move the decimal place over 1. 8.0. If you made a 96, you get 9.6, which I'm going to round it up to 10. If you make a 92, 9.2, I will round it up to a 10. I'm terrible at rounding. But if you took the time and effort to do it, great. And you won't have any limit on number of times you take a practice test either. If you want to take it till you make 10 points, knock yourself out. Because whatever you do on that practice test is going to be very similar, because I can't change it too much from that practice test to the real test. Or if you feel, okay, if you want someone to do that with the real test and just take over and over till you make a grade. But think about it. If you can't make higher than 92 on your test grade, and you keep it at that, if the next test is an 80, what's your average? How do you find the average? Add the 2 and divide by 2. Your average is now 86. 2 goes into 17 how many times? 8 times, with 1 left over. 2 goes into 12, 6 times. But had you taken the practice test and made an 80, what's your grade now? 92 plus 8 is a 100. So you now have 100, and if you made an 80 on the next test, what's your average? An A. So you see the benefit of taking those practice tests? It's not going to take that much extra time out of your schedule, out of your lives. But it will keep you off the cell phones for a while. That's my goal. Down with cell phones. So yeah, again, I'm trying to give everything to you. I will make my lectures in a step-by-step methodical approach. I will give you on the notes, I'll give you a step-by-steps on how we solve each problem. We'll go through each definition. And then hopefully at the end of this class, we'll all be that much smarter. That door right there is a magical door. You know what happens? When you leave this room, you know what happens to your brain? Everything you just talked about that day will be gone. I guarantee you. Everything, if you don't believe me, wait till tomorrow after we finish lecture. When you walk out the door, by the time you get to your car, try to remember what we talked about. That's why I say as soon as you finish, start doing your homework assignments before it gets too far. If you wait till you get home, you'll be on your phone, you'll be listening to the radio, you will forget even more. And then, so what's going to happen when you do your homework, you're going to have to go and relearn it again. So that's free 5-cent advice warning message. I'm sorry, I'm keeping you all too late. I will not keep you longer than if I'm expecting to only do 2 sections. Once I finish those 2 sections, I'll let you go. But worst case scenario, if we have to go to 11:30, we'll go to as far as we can before I have to kick you out when the next class starts. All right, so I'm trying. Hopefully, you'll have some resemblance of summer vacation. Okay, ready? I will stop the video from there.